What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of From the Wing. Christian Clark, the Pelicans beat writer for NOLA.com and The Advocate, here from a random room inside Barclays Center. How's the lighting in here, Adam?
The depths of Barclays. He is in the innards. He is in the deep. He is rolling in the deep of Barclays.
My favorite word to describe being deep inside a stadium is the bowels. I always say the bowels of a stadium.
Yes, he's in the bowels of Barclays.
Yeah,
lighting's pretty good. Lighting's good. Sounds good. So far, we've got signal.
I'm in the bowels of Barclays. This was a very fun night. The Pelicans smacked around the Brooklyn Nets, beat them 130 to 108. I don't think this night really could have gone better for the Pelicans. Like, this was pretty close to a best case scenario. What were your thoughts on the game?
Oh, dude. I mean, so it really wasn't anything. Like, it's so strange being a New Orleans sports fan of any kind and getting the gift of not having to worry. And there was never a moment of worry. They dominated from the outset. They got out to an early lead. They continuously stretched that lead. That lead got wide early, and they lost like fragments of it. But I think the biggest thing that rang through the entire game, I mean, obviously we all know we have a ton of stars. We all know what the stat lines were and all that. I think the biggest thing I saw is that in the past, when possessions don't go your way, we've never had the kind of offensive riches where you can have 3 or 4 bad possessions in a row and you look up at the score and you expect the lead to be cut in half, and you just look up and the score is still separated by 2 or 3 more baskets than you'd expect. It's still a 15-point lead. And it's like, wow, they just got like 3 really great possessions against us. Oh, wait, it's still 16. I can't even be mad. It's just an absolute just wealth of offensive power. And to see, like, if from the first quarter telegraphed the entire game. For one, I think the biggest shock, the defensive effort and positioning from minute one. Like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I said 15th in defensive rating. Maybe I was wrong.
Hold on. Let me stop you there.
Yeah. Okay. Cut me off. It's fine.
The Nets stunk, especially early in this game. They played terribly.
Yeah, they definitely got better.
Ben Simmons looked awful. Fouled out with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Couldn't do anything in offense. Kyrie did not have a very good game. Like, their entire offense was, hey,
Kyrie went like 6 of 19 or something crazy like that.
Let's pump the brakes on maybe they'll be better on defense than I thought they were. But yes, I agree with everything you're saying about offense continuing.
They did cause. So what did I say about why I thought they'd have a high defensive rating? I said I thought it would be a lot because of chaos. They did cause a ton of turnovers. Everybody caused turnovers. And like, we had our own too. Like, it was kind of exactly how you and I described them preseason. We thought there would be some messy stuff when you ask like non-traditional guards to have the ball in their hands more. We turned the ball over a lot. They turned it over more than us. And we saw like all that chaotic action. And sometimes it got a little messy where it was like a ping pong ball where like, you turn it over. Now I turn it over. Now you turn it over. Now I turn it over. Anyway, back to the recap.
So my biggest takeaway from this game was this starting 5 is gonna freaking rip. I thought that might be the case in camp. We never got to see it during a preseason game. CJ McCollum said after tonight's game that Zion and Brandon Ingram had only played about 20 minutes together in, like a scrimmages throughout training camp. That was the most at one time. They got some run tonight and just crushed the Nets. They played 14.
They get some run?
Wait, I'll give you the specifics. They played 14 minutes together. This was CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Jonas Valanciunas. Outscored the Nets by 23 points in 14 minutes. They got them that big lead like right away. Like, the game started, it was like, oh, the Pels are up 15 points, and they never really relinquished that cushion. I believe the Pels never trailed in this game.
They did not trail in this game. No, they did not. I think the the halftime 10 spot was about as close as it ever got again in the game. And then it pushed back up to 16, 18. It would get trimmed down to 13 or 15, and then they'd push it right back up. There'd be a couple of Trey threes or whoever it needed to be. Like that's the other thing too, is like it was no one person. In the third quarter, it was one person. Brandon Ingram decided to arrive. But aside from that, and I think we were all just like waiting. You're watching the first half go that well, and BI wasn't even like really cooking on offense. Like he just wasn't getting the ball in rhythm, wasn't getting it in open space, wasn't getting it in advantageous matchups, was taking on KD a lot. And then the third quarter happened, and that man was hunting. And once that happens, like Zion's already finishing all the crazy layups. He's finishing through contact. He's rebounding his own misses. CJ's just kind of hitting his all throughout the game. CJ's just kind of taking the right shots, finding his spot, taking the shot. He's knocking some down. He's missing some, but it's always the right shot. And then BI cooks in the third. And it's like, once that happens, like it was over. There was not going to be enough firepower across from them. KD had a great game. It started a little slow for him, and then he came into the game. Kyrie had an absolutely trash game, but I think at least some of that had to do with Herb Jones. Kyrie doesn't shoot like 30% or less all that often, and yeah, it was pretty atrocious. So I think at least some of that deserves some individual credit. But dude, the extra passes, Zion getting mobbed by three dudes and finding a wing pass to BI around the back of somebody as he's being caved down on. Like, it was very reminiscent of that Dyson preseason pass that he kicked out to Willie, where you just see his body disappear and then the ball somehow comes out behind him and lands right in the hands of somebody. Just stupid offensive skill everywhere. Just awesome.
The very first time I interviewed Willie Green one-on-one, it was at Summer League in 2021. And one of the things he mentioned was, we want to play 0.5 basketball with the New Orleans Pelicans. What that means is, when you catch the ball, you want to dribble it, you want to shoot it, or you want to pass it within half a second of getting the ball. Quick decision-making has been an emphasis point from Willie Green's first day in New Orleans. I think sharing the ball is something he values very highly. I think he thinks that's a key this season, and it could not have gone better in that department for the Pelicans in game number 1. 31 assists. I mean, I thought offensively, it was like, well, if it doesn't look great tonight, like, whatever, like, these guys haven't played that much. Like, even BI, at media day was like, look, it's going to be a feeling out process with me and Zion, and maybe the Nets just were pretty stinky tonight. Like, I'm sure that's part of it, but the ball was popping. Like, I just think there is a collective realization of how good this team can be if they work together. Like, I think they're all, BI, Zion, CJ, they all understand, if we roll in the same direction, we really have a chance to do something this year.
I keep coming back to the same concept that everyone is aware that there is, if they all work together, there's less pressure on every individual, because they're just going to overwhelm some folks. Someone is going to get a lopsided matchup, and it might be CJ on one possession, it may be BI on another, it might be Z on another. Or in this case, you just hammer the paint the way that Zion and JV did. You have a size mismatch down there. JV cleaned up and took every advantage of his size, every advantage of his strength. It was so reliable from everybody. Herb goes plus 34. He scores 6 points and he's plus 34 in the game. That's insanity. Insanity. Everybody else in the starting five scores in double digits. Three of your players score 20. JV's a double-double. It could not have gone better on offense. The ball just always made that extra move. Even the shots they missed, it was always the right shot. Every time it was the right shot. It was always one more pass. It was an open look. CJ shorted a few, and he tends to do that when he gets a little deeper past the three-point line. His shot form looks the same every time, and he'll get 2 or 3 feet out there. That's something Trey can make and have the exact same shot form, and it'll go down. I feel like if CJ's not stepping into that, it ends up short often if it's not just a spot up. But yeah, dude, it was just everything was rolling, and there was nothing. The only thing that brought the Nets close was like a 6-point flurry from Royce O'Neal. Like that's the thing that like got them back within 10 at the half was Royce O'Neal became like all of a sudden an offensive machine. And then you saw that just fade away because that's not a real thing. It's awesome. And it's awesome that we could competently go as deep into the bench as we did and not really have a concern. I think people will question Najee coming in as soon as Herb gets in foul trouble. Like I'm sure that'll be the fodder of the week. I think Willie doesn't like to break his rotation plans for the game. And when Herb goes out on the foul trouble, you throw another defensive body, you throw a defensive wing body in his role so that you don't break up anything else because you're pretty set on what you want to do for the whole game. And you don't want to ruin it just because like, oh, there's a minute and a half we need to fill here with the starters. He just plugs Najee into that because he trusts Najee to go put a body on a guy. And that's realistically like Herb's doing that. Now, granted, credit to Herb and I think he had 4 assists. Herb is expanding. I know people are going to look at how many points he scored and think that that's the end of him. Herb is stepping into guard responsibilities and stepping into them well.
Oh, I thought by expanding, you mean his arms are literally getting longer.
Go gadget. Just straight out there.
Yeah. I think that is what happened when he blocked KD's 3. It was like his arm did the thing that Michael Jordan did at the end of Space Jam where he, the Monstars were hanging on him. He just dropped it in from half court.
Yep. That's what happened. That was one of those. That was a Zion DeAndre Hunter Duke play. That was a racing to the 3-point line, batted out of nowhere, make sure not to make contact.
Look, Adam, infrastructure is a topic that I care a great deal about. I spend a lot of time thinking about it. You know what the number one rule of infrastructure I've learned in all my studies?
Teach me about infrastructure. What have we got?
Very, very simple. Build the whole thing out of Herb Jones's.
I mean, that sounds like a great foundation. If my house was built out of Herb Jones's, send a Cat 5 at me. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Like there might be like a scratch in your house, but you'll be fine. Like the roof
I'll
is
be
staying on
fine there. And plus 34. No big deal. Plus 34, handful of steals, a block. A huge gargantuan block, dude. It's just as much as Brooklyn. They're going to have debates on their end about no showing the game and about what Ben Simmons's role is going to be on this team and if it's actually going to work. Like they have major questions. And I think there's 2 glaring misses on their roster that they really, really desperately needed tonight. And it's Joe Harris and Seth Curry just having another kick out that you trust. They didn't trust anybody that wasn't KD or Kyrie to get the ball as an outlet. And it just led to them all like running at the paint over and over again. KD having to call his own number a lot. It just wasn't really a cohesive offense. So they'll have their own questions. But to go to Brooklyn to deal with 2 like top 15 players at their house as like an opening salvo to the league year with starters that have never played together, with a team that's full of young upside. And we've talked a lot over the offseason about how everybody feels about it. But man, it's just like grab your lunch pail, go in there, do the work, kick their ass and get out. Like, let's go to Charlotte. Like this felt like the team knew they were going to win and then just had it, handled their business and on to the next one. And that is what scary playoff teams feel like.
Well, it's funny you say that. There was just this confidence about this team all throughout training camp, and it didn't seem misguided confidence like last year in the preseason when Trey Murphy said, "I'm going to be on the scouting report during the regular season." That was maybe a little misguided. I'm high on Mr. Murphy's talent, by the way. This seemed like very just comfortable confidence throughout training camp. And I think we saw why tonight. CJ McCollum was talking about basically saying like, hey, look, like kind of hinting that like our goal is to like do some damage in the playoffs. Like he said that after game one tonight. I mean, he kind of alluded to it. When is the last time a New Orleans Pelicans player could credibly do that after the first game of like, well, we have bigger goals than just, making it back to the playoffs?
One season ever. Chris Paul's age 21 season in 2007, 2008. Like that's the only season. And even that season, no one saw it when we started. After 15 games, they were like, oh, holy crap, the Hornets are good. Then it settled in for people. But I don't even think they thought from outset that they were that team. They just kind of caught fire. Yeah, we've never had this. We've always had some sort of caveat, some sort of injuries, not enough talent, weird coaching situation. Always.
Caveat.
Always.
You just said that.
Yeah.
You said that in a very funny way.
Oh, did I? Oh,
I don't
sorry
know.
about that.
I say it like a Southerner. Caveat.
Do you say caveat?
I do.
Yeah, no, caveat. Caveat. Like
How do you say
little,
caviar?
I say caviar because that's how it's said. But also like if you were to wear like one of those little like funny, not an ascot, but the little poofy like little thing that you tuck around your neck in like a smoking jacket, that's a cravat.
Okay.
Yeah. Caveat, cravat. I don't know why I drew that comparison. Maybe on our next After Dark episode, I'll be wearing one. Who knows?
I need a good smoking jacket for that next episode of After Dark.
Dude, next time like corncob pipe and the whole nine, I'm gonna have a backdrop. Something we're gonna lean all the way in.
I'm live from the grotto in the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, there you go. A cheesier the better. Captain's hat. Well, too good. So how did you feel like watching the game? So you're there, you saw it live, you heard the crowd. I saw a lot of New Orleans jerseys on camera, on the video feed. Like they were kind of strewn all about. I had a couple of partners. Some of my friends are New Jersey area fellows. They made their way over there. Shout out to my buddies Zach and Ryan. They were both out there. We had some attendance. We had some fans. We had a little following out there in Brooklyn. Hey,
they did have a pretty good following out here. It's interesting you say that. The Nets crowd, and I don't think they have a great fan base or anything like that. The fan base that they do have, I think they're pretty dissatisfied, and understandably so. I mean, what that team did last year was just absolutely ridiculous. Like, if I was a fan of the team, I would feel like I got slapped in the face. They booed Steve Nash. So, like, if you're wondering how things are going, they introduced Steve Nash, one of the greatest point guards all time, like, universally regarded as, like, a nice guy, and they just booed him. So that's how things are going in Brooklyn.
My franchise would never boo their coach. That's never happened here. We would never do that. We're very classy.
It was fun being here, man. I saw Mr. Whammy. We talked for a little bit, got a picture. Jose Alvarado, who is of course from Brooklyn, had a lot of people here. Talked to his high school coach. Shout out Joe Arvatello and Nick Sanchez with Christ the King. Kind of an elite high school program here in New York. I was looking on the baseline, and Steve Madden had five baseline seats reserved. It was fun, man. I'm really looking forward to the Pelicans' first trip to Madison Square Garden this year. I think that's going to be a really fun one. Just with the Zion history, and now Zion is all the way in here. Like, it is amazing, man. Like,
he looks so good.
The switch has flipped. Like, this guy, I mean, it's hard for me to communicate how happy he was post game.
He competed on defense.
This guy's all the way in, man. Like, so the last practice they had before they came up to Brooklyn, he was like, look, I know that me and CJ and BI, like, we haven't played together a ton, but like, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be good. And it didn't seem like false confidence. And I asked him after the game about that. I was like, why were you so confident? And he was like, look, man, like, we just all want to win. Like, we're at the point where we don't care about points. Like, we just all want to win. And I don't know, man. The stars have just aligned for this team. Like I can't believe how the Zion situation has turned out. But like this dude is happy. He wants to be a part of it. Um, I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It's so crazy from an outsider perspective. Like, I could use a broad brush and paint it over and just say, like, it's like a yes, no, a switch flipped and things were bad and now things are good. It's so much more nuanced than that. To explain what actually happened is to dive into, uh, what essentially is a child's psyche who, during the first largest challenges of his life,
A very young
as
man. A very young man.
as he's maturing into adulthood and getting these massive adult expectations placed on him by the world, not just by like your boss or your family members or your neighbors, like by the world. The world expects him to be a certain level of guy. The world expects him to be healthy and on stage. And the solution to that is a very, very complex one. Like, he left, things weren't good, things got better. There was a call out, there were multiple people that engaged him, that pulled him in. He's Spoon's name's coming out of his mouth every other sentence now, because she seems to be the one that reached him emotionally.
The Zion
Willie
Whisperer.
plays a part. Willie plays a part in it. Like, we'd have to spend hours diagnosing it, and neither you or I have the psychological education background to really do that. But I'll just say it is a pleasure to see. It's I'll give him crap all the time for the like very rehearsed, canned marketing answers. I don't love them. I think I've made that clear. I find them very corny. I would love for somebody to ask him like a follow-up question on Biggie and see what happens. But I do genuinely believe, like, I still see the smile. Like, he's not forcing the emotion. I think that's the thing that people are gravitating towards, is like, he's clearly in a different space than he was. And it's visible. And it's like, regardless, he could read the sky is blue, this pen is black. And I would just be like, look at that guy. Look how happy that guy is. The exact opposite of what Russell Westbrook looks like playing basketball right now.
Adam, that pick swap, man. That's looming. That's looming.
Victor on the wing? We're going to have to change the name. Victor from the wing? Wemby from the wing. Wemby from the wing. That's
hey, look, Victor, look, we're thrilled to have you, but you're gonna have to be Jonas Valanciunas' backup for a year. Like, you're gonna look, you gotta learn, okay? All right.
Herb, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to have some bench minutes.
Yeah.
Herb Jones bench minutes. Can you imagine?
Yeah. It was I mean, it was a beautiful disaster in LA.
Dude,
Well, let's stay on the Pelicans. We dunk on let's just celebrate this team's success.
Yeah, we can leave Lonnie Walker's 30-minute necessary 30-minute average for the season out of this. So, like, where do you have a criticism? Did you see anything that you really felt went wrong enough to even note?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, I want to see this team play against a team that like has a guy who's like really a very skilled pick and roll operator and has it going. Like, I think that's where this team could run into problems, where it's like we're going to repeatedly put Zion and Jonas Valanciunas in the pick and roll, but like, yeah, Kyrie really wasn't that tonight. He
also just couldn't buy a make.
Yeah. But no, man. I mean, I don't have any criticisms from tonight, really. I mean, I think, me and you were pretty spot on about this, and it wasn't hard to figure out either. Like, they're gonna dominate people in the paint. Like, I mean, they had 21 offensive rebounds. I believe it was like 34, 35 second chance points, something like that. They had 20 points in the paint after the first quarter. Like, they are going to be an elite offensive rebounding team. And I mean, look, anybody with like two marbles rattling around for brain could have figured that out before the season too.
But man, I don't want to hear another sentence about like bad fit of him and JV. Like, there's only a handful of people that can play the 5 and be the perfect fit next to him. This is one of the better fits, and they clearly work well together. And just as an offensive rebounding force, I mean, there is no true center in Brooklyn anymore aside from Nick Claxton, really. And they have never really leaned on Nick Claxton in that way. I've actually wondered about over the course of the last couple of years. Like, I really thought they would lean on him more, and they didn't. Famously employing DeAndre Jordan. Why anyone still does, I don't know, but they do. He's very well liked. But Nick Claxton was completely overwhelmed by Jonas. And then you throw in the fact that the other person rebounding the ball is Zion. And by the way, I think I mentioned in the last couple episodes, I was a little worried about his second jump and when that was going to come along. Hi, it's here. It's there. He got all his own rebounds again. He's doing it all over again. The dude's not even like in. There's still like levels above physically where he is right now, and he's already doing all the stuff. He's already catching his own rebound and finishing with the, on the alternate side, the cleanup, just the cognizance of JV, of Trey, to come flying in when he starts tapping that ball, when it turns into tip drill and you're just trying to get it in. I think Larry got one too. There's a ton of rim cleanup for buckets tonight. I think we are going to be an absolute handful, and I think we're well on our way to preseason prediction number 1 in offensive rebounding. Let's go. Oh, and personal fouls drawn went pretty well tonight too. 2 of my predictions off to a good start. Let's stop the count and just call me a genius. Big brain genius over here.
You got a big head. I don't know about a big brain. I don't know.
Hey, it's all of this. It can't be contained in here. So much so that my hair's falling out.
Yeah, man. I mean, they just have like an embarrassment of offensive riches. Like,
yeah.
Just watching that starting 5 immediately, I was like, oh my God, like nobody's going to be able to stop this starting 5 this year. Like, I'm very interested to see like what is the offensive rating at the end of the year for the 5 they started the game with tonight. I mean, there's just nothing you could do. Like CJ was like, yeah, I haven't got that many easy threes since my rookie year when it was Dame and LaMarcus Aldridge.
I think Schmidt pulled the dangerous small sample size of that first lineup, and the net rating was like over 50, which is just absolute positively absurd. It was like a 148 offensive rating and a 98 or a 96 defensive rating. It was just stupid. And it's mainly because like they rebounded everything, literally everything.
Yeah.
But
like Jonas got so many, like, even when guys missed at the rim, there was so much defensive attention on the guy who missed because he's really good. It was like Jonas is like, oh, this was easy. Like, there's no one around me. Like, I can very easily just tap in this putback. He also had just a number of easy buckets around the rim from the 3 main guys' passing. Those are 4 talented offensive players. And look, Herb Jones's jumper, it's gotten better. He can also put the ball on the floor too. Like the main thing about Herb on the offensive end is the jumper's gotten better, but he just knows how to play. He understands how to move without the ball, which I think is big. I mean, get you some offensive rebounds every now and then, dribble the ball, good passer for a forward. It just makes sense on the offensive end. Like there are going to be fireworks this year.
I do love how much his shots change, though. Like the same electric release that I saw in preseason that got me super fired up. That first ball he got kicked to him, that sucker, he caught it at shoulder height and it never dropped. It went straight over his head and out his hands, and it was money. It's going to take some time to make that shot more consistently, but having that short of a loading motion, having that short of a release is going to help him get so many shots off when there's a really good close, that like he's going to get some looks that wouldn't otherwise be open, that are going to be open for him because he's going to get it off before the contest gets there. That's a huge improvement. I know he was 2 for 7 tonight, but I was more impressed by his passing, and then like obviously his defense is all world. I really enjoy seeing him more confidently exploring space and probing the defense. Those are just things that like we were just starting to dip our toe in at the end of last year. And now he's doing it. Like we saw it in the preseason. We saw it immediately again here. We saw a lot of different people bring the ball up the floor. And that is a hell of a predicament to put a defense in. Like your offense looks completely different if the ball is coming down the floor in BI's hands, CJ's hands, Herb's hands, or Z's hands. It's a different conundrum every time, especially if you're coming with pace. If your defense isn't set yet, you start off in a bad alignment, and then you got to try and rotate out of it. That's going to be a nightmare. And we saw like so many baskets opened up because like they were just in an absolute like just disastrous dilemma where you're about to. So like Jose got a really nice high ball off the glass for his first bucket. When he made that, the reason that he got the opening he got was Royce O'Neal could not leave BI. BI rolled off of him, had about 5 feet of separation. Royce had to go glued to him because if you leave him open, you're screwed. And it left Jose a little window to get it high off the glass. Like clearly, if he got too close, he was going to run into defenders' arms. So he went early, and that opportunity is there because like these dudes can't come off these guys. They're that good. Everybody on the floor is that good. You can't leave them.
Exactly. And, it's funny. I think there were questions about Zion and BI. Do they fit? And we'll continue to monitor that in the defensive end. I don't really have any strong takes about the defense after one game of this season. But on the offensive end, yes, they can fit. I think the point Zion stuff they did with Stan, it was kind of just like, well, nothing else is working. Let's put the ball in our most talented players' hands and like let them cook. And that kind of worked in the short term, but I don't know that would have been great if you'd done that for seasons on end. I don't know that was very fun for Brandon Ingram. I think the system they're playing in now, kind of free flowing 0.5 basketball is best for everyone involved. And I mean, it just can't be overstated how much better the talent is around those two guys too. I mean, it's just stupid. It's a completely different roster than it was the last time Zion played.
And the system maximizes the strain that talent puts on you. If you have to worry every time that the ball could be in anybody's hands, then you have to defend them. You have to stay tight on them, and you're just going to open opportunities. They're going to have to run a double at BI or Z on most possessions if they touch the ball. There's a double coming. There's help coming every time they touch the ball and get moving. I thought Z got a bit of a rough whistle in the first half, and then it adjusted itself. Like in the second half, it seemed like they kind of took note. Like he was talking to the refs a little bit. Clearly he was like getting smacked on the arm a good bit, and then he was getting called for it on the other side, and he was getting a little pissy about it. Then toward the end, I think, every time he got to the same move every time. Started on the right side of the bucket, cut down, rose up, two guys converged on him, dragged his arms through their arms as he went up to the left, and he got him every time. Every single time they reached, and he ran straight through him, and the whistle went.
One other note I had too was Willie really tied Zion's and CJ's minutes together in this game. I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, I just think there's such a natural fit offensively. Like you could run the pick and roll with them, and we didn't even see like the inverted stuff as much. Maybe we can bust that out of the playbook the later we go, where Zion is handling the ball and CJ setting the screen. But I did see a few CJ's handling the ball, Zion setting the screen. He left those two on the floor a lot together, and like their skill sets just make so much sense together on the offensive end, right? I mean, CJ is a guy who can hit pull-up jumpers from literally everywhere on the floor. Zion is, the flying fridge, the flying brick. I mean, bowling ball with a jetpack. I don't know. Pick your analogy. That's what he is. Like he wrecked Nick Claxton one time in this game too. By the way, I was like, yeah, everyone's too small.
Unfortunately, he had. So we said, what? Give me the odds. He's going to try and dunk on Ben Simmons, and he ended up going to his left and finishing with a layup instead. I was heartbroken. But he had the opportunity. Yeah, I thought so. I thought something that didn't really pay off in this game, but that I think we'll continue to see, and I think it's just a smart design from the start. You know, what misgivings you have with BI and Z on the floor at the same time. Like when you want to get them both good looks. You know, you want to both get them into their offense and everything. You want to both get them to their spots. That's probably a little harder for BI when JV and Z are out there, like regardless of how well everybody's cooking. If the paint's clogged up, like that's less room to operate for him. I loved seeing that when the first subs came off the bench, BI stayed out and he played with them, because I think that group, there's going to be a nice stagger there where that group coming in with that combination of defense and just versatility, and Trey comes in throwing in a little bit of shooting. I think it brings in a spacer, a half court manipulator, and then BI is the center stage. It didn't really pay off in terms of scoring in this game, but I think we're going to love that in the near future. I think that stagger is going to be something that's really, really beneficial for BI, and something that makes it, you know, just easier to get in his game, where, you know, he doesn't have to worry about, you know, playing so far out. He can be in the at the top of the key, and he can drive in a little bit. He can get in the paint if he wants. He can kind of manipulate the floor the way he wants to. I saw when that happened, I immediately took note, like, all right, first subs are in, BI stayed out. I love that. I want that. I think that's going to be something really important to, like, our greatest potential as a team with these rotations is, can he get some time with that second unit that keeps them burning? That second unit is very defensively tenacious. If a little bit of shooting and BI just being the offense, if he can just get a little bit of direct time, like, that's a nice little spot for him to heat up. It didn't really work out this time, but then third quarter happened, so who cares? But I loved all of those little things. And, you know, I guess all the, you know, I tweeted during the game, RIP to all the preseason Twitter rotation tweets, the minutes distribution tweets. They've all died. They all died. The first two guys off are Trey and Jose. Larry comes in after them. The rotation was shorter. You know, obviously, you know, cleaning the glass will eliminate Dyson's participation in the game.
It was a 10-man rotation. It was a 10-man rotation.
Yeah, it was a 10-man rotation, and, you know, most teams will not be able to go that deep and put out what they put out on the floor. And that's just a hell of a thing. Like, all the stuff we were told in the offseason, all the stuff we were led to believe, just, it's real.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to describe why we think this team is good or is going to be good this year, and one of them is Dyson Daniels, a very promising rookie, is can't crack the 10-man rotation right now. And I'm not, like, saying that as a criticism. That's just how it is right now. Like, there's, you know, 10 guys who are probably better than him right now. So this is a deep
awesome
team.
Place to be. And Jax is hurt. So, like, who gets pushed out? Like, what happens when you have the freaky athletic big to splash in there? He's seemingly pretty close to playing. You know, they hit him with the questionable tag. So clearly, like, he's going to play in this next little run of games here soon.
Jackson's a freak, man. I mean,
dude, that's
he is not supposed to be this close to returning after suffering that injury. So a torn UCL, it can require surgery, and you have to have surgery to repair it. It's Tommy John surgery, right?
Yeah.
And we know this from baseball.
If he were throwing a baseball, he would be doomed.
Right. Yeah. But his UCL is going to be able to heal on its own without surgery. So great. Jackson's just basically Wolverine is what I'm saying.
So what you're saying is everybody on our team, aside from being thick long boys, they're also mutants. They're all just genetic freaks.
There are some freaks on this team, man. Definitely some freaks.
Jackson's going to get 18 to 20 minutes, like, in what we just saw. Like, somebody's minutes are getting cut, and Jackson's going to plug in there, and there are going to be minutes that get washed away.
I can already tell that Trey Murphy's going to have some sick in-game dunks this year. Like, he's looked so bouncy, huge. Like, I would love to get to a place where I can kind of do like a Stephen A. Smith impersonation, it'd just be like, the Pelicans' best in-game dunker is Trey Murphy. The master of the pause, Stephen A. Smith.
The master of the pause, the master of the pause, and the master of letting us know what famous person he's friends with or has had dinner with recently. Also the master of the name drop.
Adam, I still have a little bit of work to do before we finish this up. Any other thoughts quickly?
Yeah, 82-0 NBA champions. You going? You ready to go? Print the shirts. Print the shirts.
I'm ready. Yeah,
Zion dude, it's gonna be awesome. We picked a hell of a year to be doing a podcast. This is gonna be pretty sick.
I think it's gonna be a fun year, man. I'm very excited to get to cover this season, continue writing about the team, continuing to talk about the team with you.
From the depths, from the bowels, whatever, from the innards of Barclays. What? I mean, I'd said it just because it was going to be a little uncomfortable. Like that's what I do here. Is I poke it. I make things just a little weirder. Can't always promise we're going to come with the post game from inside the arena. Who knows what these Wi-Fi signals and plug-in situations are going to be like all the time. Also, a reminder: I'm going to have a kid any day now, and
there's that.
Yeah, that's going to happen. So we'll sort that out though. Look, hey, want to know? It was a good team played bad, but we won on the road. Charlotte's up next. Definitely a not so good team, and a not so good team missing their best player. Terry Rozier is probably going to go for like 40 because he's going to have to. Who knows what's going to happen? But good chance to start 2-0, and that'll be something. I think was it you that tweeted that we haven't done that since like what? We haven't done that in 10 plus years or something like that. Saw somebody tweeted something that it had been forever since we started 2-0. Got a damn good shot. It's gonna be a hell of a good season, man. I'm so hyped. I'm thrilled. Everybody got all their Twitter receipts off this morning. Happy for all those guys. I am already like ready to dump the like we earned this by watching bad basketball and dramatic situations thing. I'm over that now. I'm ready to just like sit back and take all this in. Like it's just all so like let's just be happy. I don't need to trash anybody that's not here anymore. That's beyond me. I have grown up. I have matured. I am now in a place where like I'm gonna sip drinks. I am a little sad that I missed a plus 3,300 parlay by a single Herb Jones point, but I'd have really been excited. I'd have been like just 3 sheets to the wind if that sucker would have hit. It was this close. I had it. I needed the point before the fourth quarter. I was that close. Plus 3,300.
I don't care about your betting.
Yeah, but the people do. See, the commoners,
us
commoners, are trying to turn a buck into a Benny.
Is betting the new fantasy football, and that like, we talk about it, and it's like, no one cares.
You hate it. Yeah. You and look, I can come with the fantasy basketball takes too. Look, Trey Murphy looking good on your waiver wire. Go pick him up. If he's going to hit 4 of 6 from 3, it's going to be really beneficial. Go check him out on the waiver wire. Jose, not so much. Limited role. Not going to work out for you. I could do that too. I can bring the betting segments, the fantasy segments, all the stuff that you don't care about.
All right, I'm cutting Adam off. This was fun, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.
Until next time.